happenings in the public space. Yesterday, a lady arrived and she was picked up by the EFCC. Mrs. Achimugu. She was picked up by the EFCC, and it was said to be for alleged money laundering. Okay, that's the picture of the lady there. And it depends. Social media has been full, newspapers have been full, just about everywhere. In fact, two were, sort of tied together in most of the headlines. One, Achimugu, the other one, e-money. So these are people that reportedly the EFCC wants to talk with because of allegations of money laundering. Now, Mrs. Achimugu, she arrived, and I've been reading press reports. Her lawyer, it depends on which report you're reading. Some reports indicate that she's been a bit belligerent, saying, things about rule of law, rights, and all of that. But then I read one which sort of was saying that she had always been in support of cooperating fully with the EFCC, indeed had been in touch with them quite regularly. So in between there, I suppose we'll be finding out as we go along where matters stand and what exactly the EFCC means by money laundering, if indeed that allegation is correct. So that's what we have. Now, anti-corruption crusader, Mr. Lanre Suraj, is our guest this morning. So I say a fine morning to you, Mr. Suraj. Okay, clearly Mr. Suraj hasn't heard me yet. Let me try again. Good morning, Mr. Lanre Suraj. Hello? Yes. I just heard a hello from you. I just heard a... Mr. Suraj, can you hear us? Good morning. No, we can see that you can't. Well, as soon as we fix that, we'll be talking about this because, it's important. But we'll probably be exploring why Mrs. Achimugu here, Aisha, as a matter of fact, Aisha Achimugu, why she is of particular interest to the EFCC. And the fact that headlines, in the past 2 days or so, have been combining their names, in reporting on this story. Maybe that was just a coincidence, but why? Okay, in case you didn't know, one of the biggest, most important things about Mrs. Achimugu here that Nigerians found out was that she held a fairy tale, a fantasy 50th birthday celebration in Grenada. In fact, it was reported to have lasted all of, is it a week? Is it 10 days? And the way the report goes, they're still talking about it in Grenada. So that's to one side. And there are other sensitive aspects to the story. We'll see what will come out once we get speaking to Lanre Suraj. But it's important to note that one report that I read in The Nation has said it's not the only paper carrying this story. It said that she is, interested in coming to cooperate with the EFCC, that indeed she wouldn't have it any other way. So let's see if Mr. Suraj is up yet. Mr. Lanre Suraj, can you hear us yet? Okay, we will get Lanre Suraj. But in the meantime, this is what we intend to speak about. Maybe what we'll do, maybe I'll open the phones. So pending when we can get Lanre Suraj to join us, maybe we'll first of all just take the story from what's out there in the public. Alleged money laundering. She arrived in the wee hours of yesterday morning, direct from the UK. The EFCC, combining all the stories that you have, the EFCC reportedly has said that, look, they were not going to take a risk. Now that we've seen her, we do insist that she come along with us and try and sort some matters out. And, you know, she, according to reports, and her people, you know, had come to the airport, her people had come with their own transportation. The EFCC would not say a word, but was just insisting that, you'll be coming with our vehicle, we are ready for you. So there's all of that. As soon as we get hold of anybody from the EFCC willing to speak, right now, it doesn't appear that anybody is willing to speak from the EFCC. It's like they're saying there's nothing to say yet. When there is something to say, we'll let you know. But it comes down to, I think I have to concentrate on this. You know, I'd made the point that two names were combined in a lot of the headlines. E-money and then this lady here. So I have heard you. Can I just finish my sentence? I have heard you. So sorry about that. As I was speaking, someone was trying to speak on top of what I was saying. So we're going to try and find out what, and perhaps most importantly, why the EFCC is interested in Mrs. Achimugu. Good morning, Mr. George. I hear that you're on the line.
Uncle Yori.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yori, what I heard is that this lady held a week-long birthday party abroad where a lot of dollars in bundles were sprayed and all that. In other words, living large all over the world. And the source of wealth is not established.
Oh, okay.
And that is probably why the EFCC wants to know what she does and what led to that. That's a good move. But the EFCC, I hope, have their facts to challenge her upon her arrest.
Indeed.
Not just, you know, playing to the gallery in the media. At the end of the day, the culprit will escape.
Indeed.
And apart from that, Uncle Yori, we have similar situations here in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what EFCC is doing about it.
Yep.
Last week, I saw videos on social media on similar parties that happened in Nigeria here, where people were spraying bundles of dollars in a marriage by a celebrity. So what is EFCC doing about those ones?
Indeed.
And we are also aware, Uncle Yori, we have discussed this issue severally, of governors who are using the money that we are making from the removal of oil subsidy to buy up dollars, to make sure the dollar does not go below 1,500. What is the EFCC doing about it? If CBN is tired about it, is EFCC also tired? We want to know. I think it is the EFCC spokesperson. You need to find a way to bring him. Let
Indeed.
us ask him questions, what they are doing about things like this. Enough is enough.
Spot on, Mr. George. Thank you very much. Spot on. And indeed, some of the things you said is why I was saying that we need to know why the EFCC is interested in her. Because when it comes to living large, look, there's so many Nigerians that are living large, you know. It's for people, the EFCC, to find out if indeed they can really legally afford to be doing that. In fact, social media is full of people of commentary such as, look, how about X that did this? How about Y that was seen doing this? How about W that we actually, you know, saw, you know, spending money? You haven't done anything about those. But the EFCC would not make a rash move, I would wager. So it's important, as Mr. George was saying, that we find out from the EFCC just why they are interested in Aisha Achimugu. Apparently, she's not based in the UK. She's described as a businesswoman, but a businesswoman who could, you know, hold a 10-day, you know, birthday bash, flying in people from around the world, including Nigeria, and not excluding some alleged, you know, notable names. All of this was, it's all there on the social media. And so we don't really know. And as Mr. George has said, it's going to be pertinent, very, very important to hear from the EFCC. Sani Adenuga, chairman of Boot Party, just happens to be in Lagos, and he has called, well, not in Lagos, but he's in Nigeria, and he has called in. Good morning, Sani. He's in Ijebu, as a matter of fact.
Yes. Good morning, Okiori. Nice to be with you. I've been around for a while.
Yeah. Good morning. Hope you're enjoying your stay at home.
Yeah, good morning again.
Yeah.
I think the topic about the EFCC making a show of their arrest, we all know they need to buckle up. I think that's just the point. Since the likes of myself, I get tired of having to see that once in a while, they just kind of cherry pick who did they arrest. And we keep going on about it. You know, this ideology of anyhow in Nigeria. And people sometimes ask, you know how we get to where we are. We all know. Bricklayer, call them any name, artisans, politicians before they become politicians. Everybody behave the way they like. Mm-hmm. And when they suddenly get to power, people keep asking, how do we have this type of leaders? We should ask ourselves. We need to change our way of life. And I think EFCC itself needs to do more to make sure that they don't just share the key. They should tell the whole Nigerians that, look, we're here and we're doing our job properly. You know, but when it comes to you only pick on those who are being correct, then people start feeling that sense of like I'm being wish-hunted or someone is chasing after me. But let it be a culture for us where it becomes to know that, look, if you violate any of our laws.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sonny, for calling in. It's interesting the way this story is going. We'll get to the bottom of it because we will be hearing from the EFCC. And by the way, just before I bring up, well, Mr. Larry Suraj, do we have communication yet? Good morning to you.
I can hear you. Good morning, Mr. Yorifola. If you can hear me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, I've been, I've been speaking since we haven't been able to give him some background to the case. But maybe now let me just read this and then shut up, and so come over to you. Speaking for Mrs. Achimugu, her lawyer reiterates her full commitment to cooperating with the EFCC and any relevant authorities. Quote, as a law-abiding citizen and advocate for transparency and accountability, she views this process as a necessary part of public service and remains confident that her cooperation will contribute positively to the Commission's efforts. Well, in fact, let me just add this one paragraph. We also wish to extend our profound appreciation to the EFCC for their professionalism, maturity, and patience displayed in handling her temporary absence. That's Mrs. Achimungu's lawyers speaking for her. That report is in The Nation this morning. Okay, now over back to you, Mr. Larry Suraj, anti-corruption crusader. What do you make of this story? Most Nigerians didn't know very much about Mrs. Aisha Achimungu until the news broke. I think it was about a couple of years ago now, I'm guessing, when she was said to have had this fairy tale birthday bash in Grenada. What can you add? What do you think is going on?
Well, thank you. I think it would be very important to clearly get Nigerians to separate the critical issues of investigating and prosecuting crimes from the social status of individual. Very sadly and unfortunately for us, it's so bad that the public officials who have cultivated the almost image of that infallibility or even above the law is gradually now being extended to even private individuals, such to the extent that you will see the level of impunity, even on the roads. You will see private citizens, some of them even cyber criminals, the Yahoo boys with some of this money around, driving with police convoy, and not only oppressing other road users, but even circumventing and at the same time disobeying the law and order governing the roads. And unfortunately, this has just been extended to such a situation that once you can hit the limelight with some money to throw around or ability to get on a private jet or have a backup ride with a tinted vehicle, then it means that you cannot be subjected to the scrutiny of the rule of law. But in this situation, like you said, I mean, this Achimugu has not been one of those to be known either in the public or the social life. Maybe because some of us are not involved in that social circle, and the ones that are there, they know each other. And that must be the reason why you have those high caliber of people in attendance at that birthday gig that happened in Grenada, including the current governor of Lagos State. And for that, it shows that she must be known well in the social and political circle. If you can have a sitting governor to be also in attendance at that party. But now coming down to the issue about accountability and transparency, I think it is very important, especially when we can see quite a number of people. And that is unfortunately what we have now with the mentality of the young people. It is about the display of wealth without any show of entrepreneurship, company, family background with wealth, or any source of livelihood that will justify that wealth. And if there are reasons for the law enforcement agencies to ask questions, I think people should have the honorable disposition of responding to such invitation. And I would want to comment the statement by the lawyer, to Mr. Achimugu, where he's already promised the cooperation and also appreciates the handling of the matter by the EFCC prior to this time.
Indeed. The quote, which was quite refreshing because it depends on which one you're listening, you're reading. There are those that are belligerent, adversarial, but this one, the lawyer is saying, in relation to his client, Mrs. Aisha Achimugu, that it is her statement or her thought. Let me just read it. Quote, "We wish to extend our profound appreciation to EFCC for professionalism, maturity, and patience displayed in handling her temporary absence." Apparently, there's been about a lapse of a year between the invitation of the EFCC and indeed her showing up in Nigeria yesterday, if I got that part of this right. And she continues that, they continue on her behalf that their conduct, that is the EFCC, in this period, has been both measured and exemplary, reflecting an agency committed not only to justice, but also to fairness and respect for individual rights and circumstances. So, Mrs. Achimugu continues to be an advocate of the rule of law and believes in the responsibility of every Nigerian to be held, to uphold the credibility and accountability of our institutions. So she said all of that quite right. I mean, she's really serving herself because maybe, I don't know, maybe they saw the incendiary posts that have been out there in the public. And so the lawyers are coming that this might not serve us well. In fact, if you only knew Mrs. Achimugu well, she's an advocate of rule of law and all of that. But Larry, the other thing is that people are saying, look, why don't we have a standard kind of operating procedure? They are recalling on social media incidents that are similar to some other incidents of money laundering or offenses against currencies and that have now ended some people up with questioning, and nothing has been done about those. So they are giving the impression, and I think the EFCC has to be wary of this. They're giving the impression that, as you said, cherry picking who you're going to zoom in on. I don't think that is going to be in favor of EFCC's perception in the public eye. So they have to sort this out while they come and tell us exactly what Mrs. Aisha Achimugu, why she was, can I just use the expression, whisked away by the EFCC? We just need to speak with the spokesperson for EFCC as soon as we can. Efforts have been made in that direction, and they've always come on whenever we've invited them. So we hope this will not be an exception. But people want to know. We've been hearing so much that one has to be careful what one puts out, seeing as the source of all of those things that we're talking about have been the social media. And whoever believes everything they read on social media just needs God's help. You just have to be very, very careful there. Larry was suggesting there, I think he's also quoting from reports that no less than, a sitting governor was reported to have been her guest. Now, if that is true, straight away, it does point to her place in society. Is that going to be one of the reasons EFCC goes after you, your place in society, or what the perceptions are? These are the things that probably are making those on social media come down in this sort of way that it's not fair. There are other people doing the same thing or similar things, and you've not zoomed in on them. How does EFCC, discharge itself creditably in this kind of a situation?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've always cautioned against is also trying to become authority on some of the issues where we also lack even the basic knowledge or understanding.
Okay, how do you mean?
Not you, I'm not talking.
No, I understand. I mean, how do you mean in relation to what you're saying?
Exactly. So quite a number of people will pontificate and then come around and make analysis about people that are arrested and the ones that are not arrested. You have 774 local government chairmen. You have several councillors. You have 36 state governors. The ones that are sitting and the ones that are there. You have several thousands of commissioners. I was just reading about the governor of Bauchi appointing about 163 aides yesterday. You have quite a number of also ministers and the ones that are appointed, and we would expect EFCC to be the one going after majority and all of them. And then if it doesn't go after the ones that we have perceived to actually have either violated or abused office, without sometimes even having the evidence, it becomes a very difficult challenge. And one of the things that is very crucial for us is if we find the ones that are working, rather than denigrating or attempting to undermine, then the best thing is to challenge them with verifiable evidence and information. And at the same time, support the other ones. We have the ICPC, we have the Code of Conduct Bureau, we have the Special Fraud Unit of the police. So it is not just about, so where EFCC is just making some of the efforts, there would always be shortcomings and there will always be limited capacity on their part. So we need to cut them that slack. Some of the questions, very simple. With this one with Ms. Achimugu, just mere search about the trajectory of the case will tell an average person that before now, she had gone to court to restrain the EFCC from inviting or arresting her. She just lost that case. I think it was on Friday, on Monday, that the case was lost, that the judge ruled against her and said, you have been there to the EFCC before. They've granted you administrative bail. They did not detain you illegally. You had your freedom after your honoring their invitation. So there's no basis for you to come and say that you should not be invited by the agency that has not done anything in violation of your law or of your rights. So at that point, there becomes no ground again for either evading the invitation of the agency. And I would want to also commend if she, on the ground of that the decision by the court, decided to come and then also honor the invitation. This is the kind of thing that is civil. It is not just sufficient for people to then say, oh, okay, because, you know, there are others that have not been invited, or because there are others that are not being investigated, then the ones that have been investigated. But I think we're actually getting it wrong. Everywhere in the world, there would be cases where either in terms of order of priority or under the time under the gravity of the offenses and the availability of evidence. It is not just enough that EFCC would invite, investigate, and at the same time gather the evidence. It is also for us to know that EFCC will still have to be subjected to the court. And if care is not taken, just any case, I mean, it's very, very interesting. When the 753 buildings were discovered by the EFCC, and the EFCC deliberately just mentioned the name of a public official without actually mentioning Emefiele. The interim order was granted for feature, and advert was made. Few of them are active.
Okay. Let me just add, before I go on break, that Mr. Ihena Cho, a senior advocate of Nigeria, on behalf of the EFCC, has acknowledged that, this is a report by Premium Times, had acknowledged that Mrs. Achimugu was on administrative bail, but alleged that she had previously violated its conditions by failing to honor previous invitations. Quote, "We invited the applicant and she refused to come," he said. Okay, so I'll just leave that there. Let me take a break and come back, and I will continue this conversation. And if
the Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
Okay, welcome back. Mr. Larry Suraji is our guest, and we're talking about the EFCC arrest of Aisha Achimugu. Okay, well, I heard you, and indeed everyone at home heard you. So thank you very much for that observation. They're working on it as we speak. Okay, but let me just, can you hear me, Larry?
Yes, you're sounding so faint, but I can still hear you.
Okay.
Hear you.
Yeah, everybody that needs that information has heard it in our technical section. Thank you very much. Now, Justice Iang Ekwo has actually directed that the EFCC should present in court Mrs. Aisha Achimugu today. So I imagine that is probably in progress right now. So to come back to the matter, we need a lot more clarity, but the EFCC has said through its own lawyer, a senior advocate, that, yeah, she is on administrative bail, but...
It's so bad. I can barely hear what you're saying from the studio.
Yeah, so sorry about that. And the interesting thing is that it wasn't like that in the first half of the program. I'm sorry about this, because... It's a technical issue, because this is exactly the way we were speaking, and you were hearing. Is it getting better now?
Okay. Yes, it's getting better now.
Can you hear better now? Can you hear us any better?
Yes. It's a little better now.
Oh, okay. So as we are speaking, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as we are speaking, Aisha Achimugu should be in court. That's according to the directive given in a brief ruling yesterday by the judge. So we need to be sure that the EFCC is on top of this, being one of the guests at that. So I don't know what this says for, public conduct of the public officials in our society here.
No, I please pardon my maybe a bit kind of it might be considered, even for me, it might be considered to be conservative, but I think it's just about the reality of what we need to also deal with. Yes, so the news is outside there EFCC had invited Ms. Achimugu, and she honored the invitation, got on bail, refused to attend subsequently, went to court, lost the case in court, traveled about, came back to Nigeria, got arrested. The news is out there that she's already been arrested by EFCC to further their investigation. I'm wondering, what do we want the EFCC to say again? I mean, EFCC is not expected to be telling us about the investigation process. It has to be when it goes to court. They can also compromise the process of the investigation. Let us try and be a bit more conservative in the way that we want to expect things. It's not everything that is discussed on the pages of newspaper. It is not about the violation of our rights. The law allows the EFCC to invite anybody, any of the law enforcement agencies. And once the due process is followed, once the court has said, go and also submit yourself to the investigation. Unfortunately, because of some of these kind of also public decry and the rest of that, of even the process and operations of some of the operations of the law enforcement agencies like the EFCC. I mean, I'm not talking about police that would even just not even invite you, not be civil in any way to give you a prior invitation to arrest, that would just come to your house and said somebody lodged a complaint against you and you are under arrest.
And all that, after a period of time, they don't give us any results. They don't tell us how far they've gone with it. The matter just dies there. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, with time, we will not hear anything again. So that's my contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure the EFCC is also listening, and they need to evaluate that comment and see what they can do about it. But Larry, let me go back to what I said. Now, I'm reading here, and that's all that we have at the moment. But I suppose it's good because it's the EFCC's case against Achimugu. The EFCC has provided, and I'm reading directly, quoting directly from a paper this morning. It says in its affidavit filed in response to application instituted by Miss Achimugu, that, well, Achimugu is an Igbo name, and the lady herself is a Kogilite. So that's why I said Mrs., but that's the way it is. Anyhow, instituted by Mr. Achimugu, that on the 12th of February 2024, the socialite visited his office with her lawyer and wrote a statement. So that's one part of it. He said that Mr. Achimugu admitted that the sum of 8.71 billion naira was paid to her, was paid by her partners, an investment fund into purchase payment of signature bonus for the acquisition of an oil block on 8th of November 2022. It says further that investigations reveal that Ms. Achimugu, through her company, Ocean Gate Engineering Oil and Gas Limited, acquired 2 oil blocks, namely Shallow Water, PPL 3007, and Deep Offshore, which is, where's the number for that is PPL 302DO, for the total sum of $25,300,000. Majority cash payments made to the Bureau de Change operators, who in turn made payments to the federal government via corporate accounts. So, Larry, you can see where this is going. You can see where interest is coming from with this kind of report that I understand was provided by the EFCC via an affidavit in court. For those who are saying, now the commission has alleged that the ultimate source of the said sum of 25.3 million used in the acquisition of the oil blocks were not linked to her lawful earning or income of any of her business partners, and that the acquisition of the oil blocks was marred by corrupt practices as bribes were paid to officials of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission in the process. Now, it is the EFCC saying so in an affidavit that it has put before the court. For those of us that are saying, what exactly has Ms. Achimugu done? People who are interested can check out that story. It's out there. They can even just dial it up on their phones. EFCC arrests Aisha Achimugu at airport. That's a timeline of April 29th. Right now, that's where I'm reading from. So that sheds a bit more light, doesn't it, that it's a very, very serious matter.
Absolutely. I mean, this is almost talking about, with Bureau de Change making direct payment. This is talking about money laundering issue. That is making payment beyond and outside the financial transaction, financial system. That is one on the side. The other one is even under the law of the EFCC, the Advanced Free Fraud Act, it is very much possible for the EFCC to invite, if you are suspected to have earnings, properties that is also can be adjudged to be outside your legitimate earnings, even be invited to come and explain how that happens. And if some public persons have been also seen to have made some payments into your private account, it's also possible for, while those other officials are under investigation, you were fingered to have been the one paying money into their accounts. You might be shocked to note, eventually looking at, even mentioning that about some officials in NUPRC.
Sorry, your audio has become a bit more difficult. That's no fault of yours. It's a technical issue that we're battling with.
And people and the public to check in for themselves.
Okay. Let me
check.
Larry, sorry to interrupt you. Let me just take Mazi Okorafo, who has been holding on for quite a while. Good morning, Mazi Okorafo.
Good morning, Sayuri. Okay. You see, when we talk about this laundry money, when you want to call it, see, banks. You see, for you to go into laundry, people with domicile accounts, what are the approach to this domicile account by the bank? What are they doing? You see, they are what to call the modern way of all this, tracking all these things, forensic approach. You see, 70% research that our banking industry, all this, that even the economic agencies, fighting all this, fighting. The forensic approach to do things now, they are lacking on it. Because this is goes with data processing system. But if you have good, satisfied, standardized forensic experts, all these things are very easy to track. But because we don't want to take up the system to spend money to get all these things, to get all these things done. But if you have people with their experts, with these data processing that go to forensic approach, also for tracking this thing, all these things will be a bygone story. But it's a very bad because it's affecting our business, it's affecting development, it's affecting the system in Nigeria. Now look at about the students who are going outside to read outside Nigeria. You see the problem they face. Because of all these things, many of them, that's why check very well, check that and see that many of these are Nigerian students and they are having a lot of big problems because of all this laundry. Well, God will help us in this country. Good morning, Mazu Krapov.
Indeed, thank you very, very much for calling. God will help us all. But this is a matter that now that it's out there in the public space, Larry, the EFCC is going to come on, is going to have through a bit more enlightenment on the matter. We're just getting various different reports, but at least the one that they have submitted in court as an affidavit, which I think would have been very, very carefully constructed, has laid some very weighty allegations. We were talking about how much is that? $23 million for 2 oil blocks. And the whole transaction doesn't seem to have very much to do with Ms. Achimugu's normal line of business. She's reported to be an accounting graduate, and sorry, please continue.
Yeah, I think this is where it's very, I was going to say that, I mean, and if you look at I've had engagements with law enforcement agencies, not only in Nigeria, even with the FBI, with the National Crime Agency in the UK. If we want to look at the level of disclosure and information to the public, believe me, EFCC probably even tower far over and above those agencies in terms of divulging information. Many of the things that you would read about happening prosecutions and investigations of FBI or the rest of them would be through court proceedings and filings. It's where people who want to get information, or even the investigative journalists and the rest, are able to get information about charges or allegations and the rest of that against suspects and defendants or accused in the cases and in the courts. And this is all that was just needed for people. And just like I told you, it's very easy. Why was she eventually arrested? She was in court. We would say that EFCC has been civil to a very large extent to have respected the fact that she was in court and respected her rights to exercise that until when the court actually decided on the need for her to go and submit herself to the commission, and for her to also issue that statement. Like I said, I would consider it as one of those civil responsibilities to be discharged by anybody who really also wants to go through and respect the rule of law. But if you can't actually justify some of those things, we know that Nigeria, and except for many of us who want to, and Nigerians who want to pretend that we are not aware and conscious of the developments in the country in terms of how pervasive corruption is, it is extremely difficult. Like I said, for those who don't have the background of businesses and companies, so you will just see a young person of 20-something years, flying a private jet or chartering a private jet that costs about $10,000 to fly from Abuja to Lagos or Lagos to Abuja. And you would say, oh, yeah, he has arrived or she has arrived. And nobody's going to raise the question about where is the legitimacy of that earning? Where do you start from? And the more that we allow the public to distract us from this, the more that we allow the system and our country to continue to degenerate. Okay. It's important that we must be able to start asking questions. It is not just sufficient to celebrate people when they flaunt and also engage in this ostentatious lifestyle that is actually eroding our culture, misleading the young people from towering the path of dignity of labor, and looking out for the rich, quick means of also wanting to be like those that they can see. So they can't even understand that for you to go to school and become a medical doctor, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, and the rest of that.
All right, Larry, I beg your pardon, because time is not on our side. One of the main issues that Mrs. Achimugu has brought up is that she was declared wanted. And, again, court filings reveal that she traveled to the UK for urgent medical care on the 3rd of March, shortly before the EFCC's invitation letter was issued on the 4th of March. So that goes to show you that there are all sorts of information, underground knowledge, and all of that. But the much that we can have, I've referred you to where I am quoting from. It's in the paper this morning. The Cable has also reported upon it. Premium Times has reported upon it, and just about everybody else. But, we have to wait on the EFCC to come and add to that if anybody needs any addition. EFCC has already tendered an affidavit in court, and they have said that they are not able to see, a correlation between the work she's doing and stuff like $24.3 million US. So I want to thank you, Larry, for coming on and shining a bit light on this as we all wait for the EFCC to maybe help us out. Or, as you said, it's not everything they do they can be reporting in the newspaper. We'll just wait and see how it goes. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Larry. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. So we're going to have to leave